should be live.
There we are. Look at us.
Look at us. Right.
Hello,
there.
Facebook.
Hello, Facebook. I'm here with my buddy Joel Martin, one of those fantastic people from the LA area.
It's true.
And I'm going to do, normally you do an interview, but I like to do more of a conversation, you know, because it makes it more personable, you know, where you don't feel like you're being drilled for questions and everything. That way, you know, talk about your music and everything.
Cool.
You know, I like to make you feel comfortable, so you're not like, you know, some guy with a notepad like going, okay, well, you know, where were you born? Yeah, you know, all that, you know, because I'm sure you've seen a lot of those and maybe done a few of those, you know, but I wanted to make it a little more personal. There we go. How's it going? That's, I guess, the first question you can ask is how's it going?
Great. It's going great. I'm just here, you know, in the garden at Ark and Noise, and you'll have to excuse me. We had a wild Halloween party here last night, so I still have some friends over. Never mind them. I told them to keep it down while we do our interview, but they're just here in the background having a good time. Yeah, everything's going great. This is my favorite time of year. I love Halloween, and you know, I had a big show on, actually today is a moment of peace and rest in my life, which is really nice after a pretty huge week. I did a big Halloween blowout for my Friday Freakout, which is my show that I do every Friday night, and is available here on Facebook and also on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So I put a lot of work into that last week. And also, this is November 1st, and on the 1st of the month, I always release 2 new songs to my internet marketplace off of my website. And unfortunately, because you know, this week has been such a heavy production load, the 2 songs aren't ready to go live quite yet, but they should be tomorrow or the next day. But very exciting material. I have one song that features the incredible Mike Garson, who used to play piano with David Bowie, and
wow.
Yeah, he just does an outstanding job on this one song of mine. I can't believe it. I mean, like, you know, he's accompanying my vocals, you know, just like he did with David.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. You know, it's always neat to work with people that have worked with your idols, you know.
I know. And Bowie's so huge for me. I mean, I know he's huge for a lot of people, but I mean, he's one of the top 3 or 4 guiding lights in my life, you know, and the records that Mike is featured on, you know, are like Diamond Dogs and Aladdin Sane. I mean, that's just the heart of the beast for me. I just love that stuff so much. So, you know, it's really crazy, you know. I mean, like, I think Mike is one of the most genius musicians that's ever lived. I mean, you know, he's got an amazing, he's actually a very special, rare touchstone, because he comes from a avant-garde jazz bebop world, you know, like, and when he got the call from David in 1972, he was very much on the fence about, maybe I shouldn't go play with this pop artist. Maybe I should just be here in New York and playing jazz. You know, he actually took lessons. He had a couple lessons with Bill Evans at Bill Evans's house. He studied with Lenny Tristano. I mean, he was sitting in with Elvin Jones in New York in the late 60s, early 70s. You know, just an incredible breadth of musicality and experience. But thank goodness he, you know, picked the Bowie road. Great stuff.
Hey,
he also, just to mention there too, he actually you know, he was out of the Bowie scene from like 75 to 2000. Well, no, to 94, sorry, 94, 95. And then he actually played David's last live performance. The very last time David ever played music in front of people was
Oh, wow.
for, I think, an award show or something. It's on YouTube, and they did a small set. They only did 3 or 4 songs, and it was just David and Mike playing. So, you know, it's just so beautiful, such an incredible experience.
Right. Now, I'm gonna hate to do this, but the record button didn't go. I just looked and it's not recording.
But we are
we're,
live.
We're alive.
Yeah.
Does it save on Facebook?
It will, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So then I can
Yeah, you just
download
have
off of
to.
it.
You should just have to tell it not to if you don't want it to, but otherwise it'll do it automatically.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I think that's kind of cool. You know, when you get back to the music, you know, you get to play with your idols, especially, you know, like as a music fan, he means something to me, but as a musician, I think it means even more to the musician when they get to have one of their idols play on their music, even if it's one song. You know, it's one song, you know, that's fantastic. I mean, even better if you got them on the whole album, but, you know, just one, if you get them on one song, then it's like, hey, you know, you can say, you know, how do you, you know, check that thing off, you know, on your to-do list. And it's like, you know, the one thing I was really curious about is with this, with our, what was it, like almost 9-month quarantine thing, you know, that you're not able to do, you know, proper live shows, you know, that you do your YouTube live, and I think you do Instagram live.
Well, I do 3 shows every week, and it's been a blessing. And you know, I got really lucky too, because I really would not have started it on my own. I mean, maybe I would have at some point, you know, I probably would have got the kick to do it. But I very much was roped into it from the very beginning of this entire shutdown in Los Angeles. You know, I still very vividly remember March 13th and 14th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. I lost my job, all my gig, because I was doing some video editing at the time for some people, and I lost that, and all the gigs that I had from March through June. You know, I had a lot of stuff planned. Just started dropping, and by you know, it started the 12th, just my phone started blowing up with texts, and by the 14th my whole calendar and any financial opportunities were clear. And the next day, the Monday morning, I went to my local Trader Joe's in beautiful Sherman Oaks, California, and I ran into a local hippie personality genius musician named Paul Ill. And he's a bass player who he's been on tons of great stuff, lots of Linda Perry stuff. And he did a tour with Bob Weir. You know, great dude, great player, very well known here in Los Angeles. And he wanted to do he said we should get together and do a stream for people since we can't do gigs. And, you know, this is pre-shutdown in LA.
Right.
So, you know, but there was enough of stuff going on where clubs were starting to cancel, even not shut down. No one felt safe doing anything. So we decided we were going to do something for the following Friday, and I spent the entire week putting it together. We got this incredible sort of A-lister, all-star Dead cover band thing happening, put the set together. You know, I'd never live streamed anything in my life. You know, I love shooting stuff. I like to shoot stuff and then edit it and then put it up, you know. And so I didn't have any of the technology in line. And so, you know, like I was doing all these experiments to see what we could do. And everybody kind of agreed that even though I had not done a lot of stuff before, that we were going to use my Facebook page as the launch point.
Right.
So, you know, I felt pretty responsible for it. And then Thursday night is when the mayor and the governor put the shutdown in effect in Los Angeles. So all of a sudden, we couldn't do our show that we were going to do from a rehearsal place on Friday. We were getting all these people saying it's not safe for you to even be in a rehearsal room together. You can't do it. We were getting a lot of well-meaning, you know, angry people, you know, telling us we couldn't do the show. So, you know, here I was, we'd already advertised it all week. And, you know, the people that we had in the band were kind of crazy, you know, like, I didn't know, I had no idea what kind of people were going to show up to my show on Friday, or to the show on Friday. So I was like, I'm going to have all these people on my page. I better throw something together. And so I put together a little set, just figured I'd play a few songs. I ended up opening the first show with a 30-minute Dark Star by the Grateful Dead. And then I did 2 other things. I did an hour show, and everybody just, the feedback was so great and so positive. You know, a lot of people were like, you need to play every day. And I was like, well, this was a lot of work. I don't think I can do it every day. And I don't know what the rest of life is going to be like. So I won't commit to that. But I committed to the Friday Freakout every Friday night. And since then, I've done 33. This past Friday was the 33rd in a row Friday Freakout.
Wow.
Yeah. And then also the following week, I had started doing a show on Tuesday, which was sort of meant to just, you know, Friday is the big blowout. Like I put a lot of work into it, learned some really specialized material. And then conceptually, I was like, well, Tuesday I can just log on and I'll just play through songs. But then we spent months, you know, literally 2 or 3 months where I had themes. And, you know, I would pick a songwriter and that would be the theme. So there was a Bowie show, there was a Prague show, there was a Peter Gabriel show, you know. And now I've kind of had to get my life back a little more. So now it's just sort of back to good songs. But like, you know, I learned, you know, between 10 and 15 songs a week, you know, brand new material. So since March, I've actually played, we're coming up on 500 unique songs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's nuts. And so the Friday and Tuesday are the real big shows. But you know, if you'll remember, pre-COVID, so many people were starting to drop off of Facebook, you know, and a lot of people were switching from Facebook to Instagram. So I kind of thought it was important to hit those folks too, and, you know, make something available to them. So I started doing an Instagram show on Thursdays that I call the InstaFam Jam. And that started up, I can't actually remember the first show that we did, but it was, I think probably about 3 weeks after the lockdown. I'm gonna have to go back and get the date. So, you know, since March and early April, I've been rocking these 3 shows nonstop. For a little while, I did a Twitch show, but I found it too difficult to get people to migrate over there.
Well, I also noticed, you know, I saw, like, you know, a friend of mine was doing a Twitch thing, and I was just went over to watch it, and it looks like it's just a lot more confusing than the Facebook Live or the Instagram Lives. And so it's like I'm going, no, I think that's mainly because that's a gamer thing.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because on one level, it can be really easy. Like you can just click a link and open a video, and their infrastructure is the best for video and audio. I mean, it's unparalleled. It's like you're on Twitch and the stream looks like it's, you know, a video on your, like a video you recorded on your phone. It's flawless. Right. It's incredible. But yeah, it's for gamers primarily, and there's not a lot of other robust functions. Is basically just for coming and watching the thing. And yeah, if you do log in and get an account, you can chat. That's fun. But yeah, for music, it's tough. Like it's just musicians haven't really been able to get over and make it work really well. It doesn't seem to me like, you know, unknown musicians like myself.
Right. Yeah, it should be kind of cool as if someone actually, you know, because who knows how long this is going to last. But maybe someone should set up a, you know, some sort of a format you know, a website type of thing, you know, for musicians, especially, you know, such as yourself, you know, maybe some of you LA musicians to get together and maybe get an app, you know, like Twitch, a similar format, but just make it primarily for musicians where they can come on and do shows like yours, or do those, what is it, those live remotes, you know, where they have, you know, the different squares where the different band members are on, you know, and you're doing it live, but everybody's from their own place.
Right,
You know,
right.
things like that. I mean, you know, because I think of all places in the country, LA would be like the place that it can be developed, because I know there's a lot of you guys there,
Oh yeah.
you know, that are in your position, you know, where it's like, you know, this pandemic has really screwed up a lot of your jobs, and you know, you have this, you know, Facebook Live and Instagram Live to kind of get your face and your music out there, and hopefully someone's out there that's, you know, another musician and say, hey, you know, that guy's cool, you know, maybe I should contact him and, you know, do a you know, a remote live video sometime, you know, or a pre-recorded one, and, you know, put it up on YouTube and for everybody to enjoy.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure, and I know you have your tip jar and everything that, you know, you put it there. I mean, I've seen a lot of people having tip jars.
It's huge. Yeah.
The other night I was going on YouTube, and I saw that band Living Color. They had a little concert,
Oh.
and right on the bottom it had, you know, the, what is it, Venmo,
yeah.
and they also have their PayPal,
Yeah.
and some, and even had it where you can text, you know, them a tip. You know, I don't know how that part works, but
yeah, either.
But the two other ones, it's like, I mean, I think that's a great thing that Venmo, you know, because you know, you can get, and it's like you're basically saying, it's like, you know, whatever you can, you know, afford to give, you know, and I'm sure if you get like a, you know, virtual concert together, you know, that you can at the beginning sell tickets like you did for, you know, your club shows and stuff like that. And now that, I don't know how it is out there, but here I think we're going to go into another lockdown.
Yeah.
Because people are not wearing their masks. They're staying too close to each other, and they think that you know, it's not going to happen to them. You know, it's always like that. You know, we always think, oh, we're healthy, we're not going to get it, but you never know.
Yeah.
But if you had a way that everybody could be, you know, even for your peace of mind, want to do a little concert thing from a studio, you know, everybody can have be tested, and then get the results. And when you get the results, you say, hey, let's not have any contact with anyone else. Let's just quarantine ourselves and learn, you know, good hour set worth of music and have it done live. You know, have someone in the engineer booth, you know, set up all the, you know, the sound and video, and you could broadcast it live and advertise, you know, this is a concert we're going to be doing on such and such a date at such and such time. You know, in order for us to afford this, you know, for us to band and the guys that are engineering it being in the booth, you know, have some, you know, the tip. You know,
that's exactly what's happening. Yeah.
You know, because I mean, I think with it's that and it's also the next best thing that's, since I wouldn't in a normal case be able to see you at a live show. So this is
Right.
something good that someone on the other side of the country or the other side of the world that knows you and wants to see you, but can't afford to go fly to LA to go watch you. This is
Of
something
course.
that this is something that it's I think it's an untapped resource that
Yeah.
you can have those live remote concerts.
Oh, my listener base is so phenomenal right now. I mean, I have several regular friends in Australia that tune into shows. I have a lot of, before COVID struck, I had a monthly residency, a live performance show that I did that I hosted in San Diego, which, if you don't know California geography too well, it's a good 2 hour, 3 hour drive.
Right, right.
So, and I was doing that every month. And so I have a lot of friends down in San Diego. So they tune in. Some of my best friends and family are up in Portland, Oregon. And so they tune in. And
Oh
that
yeah.
is just the most amazing part of the whole deal is like, I'll be sitting there playing and I'll look down at the comments that are coming and, it's an Australian and someone from Oregon and someone down in San Diego all sitting here talking, and it's great.
Oh yeah.
It's fantastic.
I think it's gonna, if people get together and do it, it's gonna be the next best thing. That also too, it's let's say you got a band member like in Oregon, or you got one in Wisconsin, or whatever. They're all spread apart, and they can't always get together. At least this way, they can do. I think they call that live remote.
Well, that technology doesn't actually exist quite yet.
Oh, okay.
It's really crazy that it doesn't, but they're basically, every point where there's an internet connection, an internet hub, and what do you call that? Basically any place where there's a server farm where your internet connections are.
Right.
Every single place introduces a little latency. So there's a couple software programs where, if you do have a interface, like an audio card in your computer, you can get a program. There's 2 or 3 different versions that are out now. And if you still have to be pretty geographically close to another person that you want to do that with.
Okay.
But, like oddly enough, our wonderful patron saint of hippiedom, Bob Weir, is investing quite a lot of time and money into making this a reality.
Oh, that's
And
good.
so it's incredible. And his experiments have been phenomenal. And I think where he's at, and it seems to mirror what I've heard from the rest of the world, is that, like where he is, I think he said that he's in Marin, and then his drummer, Jay Lane, is just across, just like the next county over. They can actually play together over the internet in this program.
Right.
Which is unheard of. It's the first time this year is the first time anybody has ever been able to do that. And so he can actually do that. But when they try to rope in Don Was, this is all the Wolf Brothers band. When they try to rope him in, I think he's in San Diego or Los Angeles, they'll try to whip him in. There's too many points where there's new internet hubs and server farms, and every place where those meet, there's a additional packets that cause latency. And if you're anywhere outside of your immediate neighborhood, it just will not work. And it's amazing. I mean, this is kind of the trippy mind blower thing of just about how our brains work as humans. I mean, like you and I are talking, but there is latency here, but it's not enough to make it uncomfortable or weird. Like it feels natural and it feels real human. Yet if we went and started to say, let's clap 1, 2, we would not be able to do it. It just does not happen. It can't happen.
Right.
Just that,
Well,
that element.
I'm watching at the corner of my eye my what do you call it? The tablet, and it's like a couple seconds or so behind what's going on right here on my
Oh, well,
computer.
that's a whole different thing. I'm just talking about you and me right here. This
Right.
isn't, this isn't even immediate, even though it feels really good. If we went to try to play music like this on a level, we couldn't do it.
Right.
But yeah, and then when you add in getting it out to Facebook and YouTube, I mean, yeah, it's then you have these longer waits, 2 seconds, 20 seconds.
Oh yeah. It's like well, I think it's great that this is we have this available, at least this part,
Yeah.
um, because I mean, I have, like I said, I have a lot of musician friends back home, and and I like, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like going, how are these guys doing it? And they, getting their face and their music out there to to Facebook. I mean, I was trying to see if I could put it through, because I have a page on Facebook for Prognaut. And I was trying to see if I can do it through there, but it's like, no, it has to go through the profile.
Yeah, but you can do that though. You can totally do that. It just asks you if you want to send it to another page you host, and then
Oh, okay,
it
yeah,
goes through that. Because that's what I do. Because I have my main, if anybody's trying to get a hold of me here, I'm at facebook.com, and my main personal, hey, I'm Joel Martin, I'm just a dude page is I play pedal steel. But my music page that I do all my live streams from is Joel Martin, I play pedal steel. So it's facebook.com/Joel Martin, I play pedal steel. And so every time I do a live stream, I have to send it over to that page.
right.
And then everybody gets that, but yeah. Yeah, it's been a solid learning curve. I went from when I started, of course, not knowing any better or knowing how to do this. I had my phone and that was it. And then a few months into it, I have a great friend that works for Vox and Yamaha and all of those companies that are parented together, and he got me the Line 6 Sonic port, and that was like the first thing that made everything a game changer for me, because then I was able to figure out how to take audio out of a big part of my income also is recording mostly pedal steel tracks for people. I play pedal steel guitar, which is something that a lot of people don't really do throughout the world. So,
Right.
I get a lot of singer-songwriters and soundtrack work where I record tracks for people here at home. So, and also I've scored movies. And so, getting a recording setup that was a super high quality environment was something that was really important to me about 12 years ago. And so I got a really good home studio stuff going on. And so when I got the Sonic port, it basically gave me the availability to take a signal out of my Pro Tools and put it into my phone,
Right.
which is crazy. So now all of a sudden, this was, I think, the end of July, I was able to get everything that I have. Because when I do live streams, if you're not familiar with me, I play guitar and sing. I also play pedal steel, but I have Taurus bass pedals. I have a Mellotron that's right here. I have a bunch of other little toys and knickknacks and different percussion and things. I run them all through loops and everything. And then everything gets sent into my Pro Tools rig, and then
Right.
comes out of there, goes into the Sonic port device, and then goes into my phone. So when you listen to my live streams, you're literally hearing something that's coming from 96K audio, you know, mixed, and, you know, I've got all the little doohickeys that you would put on stuff in a recording studio, you know, compressors and EQs and effects, and you know, that's all happening. So that was the first upgrade I made. And then it's led me to the last few weeks where I started using this program called OBS. And so, you know, if you watch my current live streams from the last few weeks, I've been able to just, everything's just in another realm. It's skyrocketing, you know. I'm doing
Oh
a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
video overlays. It's really, really fun. So like, I mean, that's my goal though, is, I mean, what is music? You know, what is art? You know, it's escapism at the heart of everything, you know,
Oh
in
yeah.
a huge way. So it's like, if I can provide a fun, safe place for people for a few hours a week, you know, where, you know, people aren't worrying about whether they're going to die from some stupid pandemic or Trump or bullshit, you know, that's out there in the
Right.
world. You know, people can come and watch one of my streams and just get taken away by a bunch of weirdness. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
you know, that's the whole deal.
Well,
You know,
music for me has been even before this. It's been an escape for me. You know, it's like it's, you know, there's several things, but that genres that I go to for different things. You know, feelings.
mhm.
But and that's what I think is really missing from modern music is that escapism.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the way they're creating it now, it's almost like they're just, all they're doing is borrowing this guy's sound and another person's sound and not creating it from scratch.
Mm.
You know, I mean, obviously, if you're going to do like a one man, you know, like here it's a one man show, you have to have everything programmed in the background. And then you have you up front with your, you know, your main instrument and your vocal.
Mhm.
But see, I think that's, you know, some people might say, oh, isn't that the same? It's not. It's like, because he's already created his music from scratch. He's just putting it, you know, because he doesn't have a full band with him. He's just putting it in the background.
Oh, and
Where,
that's not what happens really. I don't play to tracks. When you hear what I'm doing, I'm creating all those loops on the spot. I've got looping pedals. I pull out a drum, I hit it. I create, everything's created on the spot. I don't play to any previously recorded tracks.
oh, that's good. That's
Absolutely
good.
nothing.
And still, that's even better because then, you know, it's all, you know, it's a creation. Whereas
Yeah.
some of the newer music, they're not really creating. Everything's just basically handed to them, and they said, sing over this. You know, they have nothing you know, no creativity coming out of them.
Mhm.
And a lot of the stuff, new music, honestly, is background music.
Mm.
Whereas music that we grew up with is more, yeah, you can do things while you listen to it, but ultimately your mind is like going, I can't really do other things because this music is really kind of locking me in, and it's like I can't really concentrate on anything else. So it's like, this is, you know, this is where you got it. You know, the music is where it's taking you,
Mhm.
and you can't do you can't multitask with our generations of music.
Interesting. Yeah.
You know, because you're more interested at what's going on with the song, and you know, as a listener, that's how I do it. It's like, if I'm going to listen to music, I generally like to listen to it in headphones so that
Mm.
I can get all of it into me, where there's no distractions whatsoever. And I mean, I don't have a record player. I don't have really the room to. If you've seen all my CDs back here, if I had that in records, I would need another couple. I would need another full-size room that I don't have just to
Right.
store the records. I know that there's a lot of people out there, you know, the quality, I call it the quality wars. You know, some people say, oh, records all the way. some people say all CDs all the way, and then some people are right down in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's like, I appreciate all those, you know, opinions, because, you know, it's all from the ears, you know,
Yeah.
how you hear things, you know, and obviously from a musician, when you go to hear someone else's stuff, you're even more critical with your ears as to, you know, okay, I need to have, you know, a better sound system. I need to hear it on records, you know, and I need to have better headphones, you know, to be able to, so I can hear it exactly, because, you know, sometimes, you know, you only hear, you know, half of what's going on. And then,
Yeah, totally.
but it's like, for me, that's why I like to listen to music on headphones, so that I can hear as much as I
Hmm.
can. And
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I started really getting like my experience growing up with music, you know, I was born in 72. So, you know, my mom had a lot of cool records. She had big ears, as I say. She liked a lot of different music from, you know, she loved Elvis and the Beatles, but somehow got into Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin, and also had a bunch of 45s of Russian folk dances. And then she also loved bluegrass, you know, and so you know, I remember when, you know, when I would borrow her records, but the first
mhm,
records I was buying were in 1980 and 81, and I was into like out here in LA, we have our radio stations KLOS, and we had KMET, you know, album rock radio, lots of AC/DC and Zeppelin, that kind of thing, and that's what I got into. And you know, we didn't have money, so like I had a really shitty, you know, multiple, you know, like turntable, cassette deck, everything in one, you know, kind of
right, right,
thing. And so that's what I listened to music on until CDs came out, you know, and CDs came out when I was a teenager. So my mind was blown. I was so happy that CDs were out, because I could finally listen to music and have it sound really clear and crystal, because you know, my turntable was crap. So, you know, I love music. That's all I had. That's all I knew. But when
right,
CDs came out, it was like, wow, you can experience everything in such a pristine fashion. It was incredible. I didn't know you could make vinyl that sounded really good, you know, and unfortunately, sadly, that's been a huge part of my life, is never having enough money to really put into a good vinyl system. And so I've been all CDs my whole life pretty much.
right.
But I got to say, about a year ago, I have this great friend. I don't know if I should drop his name on here, but you know, basically, he had a little hosting party. He had just put a ton of money into a great vinyl, you know, system, a great turntable and a power amp and great speakers and the whole deal. And he'd adopted a new habit. Was He was going around and buying first and second pressings of things that he loved.
Oh,
So
wow.
his first big project that he was on was buying all the first and second pressings of American and English Beatles records.
Oh,
And so he had us over, he had a small group of people over, and I gotta say, it was the wildest audio. It's one of the two most profound audio experiences I've ever had in my life. Like listening to Revolver first pressing on an incredible turntable system, it was like I'd never heard it before. I mean,
right.
it was amazing. So, you know, I'll never get that again, but you know, it was fun to have. It was a fun moment. I know I'm back to my CDs, and that's what I listen to,
Right.
you know, but it was cool. It was pretty wild.
I find, you know, on my CDs that, you know, listening to on the headphones, that, you know, I get a better experience than if I had it going out my speakers, you know.
Mm.
Granted, right now I don't have a CD
Oh,
uh,
I lost
system
you
to
for a
play
second.
on. I use my
Wow.
computer. I use my computer. I load up my CDs onto my computer and I play it there, and then sometimes I'll listen to it on my little Walkman, but most of the times I've put music on onto a little USB drive and I put it into my car. So because the radio stations, I'm sure it's happened there. The radio stations seem to have a set uh, amount of songs that they play, and they seem to play those over and over again. And um, so I make my own radio station with the music that I like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the stuff that's maybe not going to be played on the radio. And then I also listen to a lot of streaming sites. I, you know, basically this, I won't own a digital album unless I own it on CD.
Hmm.
So that's why I'll stream it, and the great thing with doing streaming is like if you tell me a band and that I never heard of before, I go look it up on streaming, and if I like it, I go buy the CD.
I like to do that too.
You know, I don't want, you know, it's like I think it's great, you know, also too when you're sharing music with people. That's I kind of think of that as a way of, you know, you get to preview it, and then if you like it, you go and buy it. You know, you support the band by buying it.
Yep, it's
You
a
know?
precursor to the purchase, not a replacement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
No, I think that's great and very important. And you know, us artists need it, you know, 100%. Especially, I mean, that's kind of what I'm trying to do with my own music is I've actually taken it off of all the platforms because I think the platform, I mean, I don't have a problem with YouTube so much because I don't think people's ultimate goals with when they use YouTube is to replace their listening experience with YouTube, because fortunately YouTube is a little crappy. So, but people are definitely using Spotify or Apple Music to replace their purchasing experience. And Spotify is the worst company on the planet. That CEO can go screw himself.
Right.
You know, you know, the worst, I mean, sure, he made a company, he's got a company, it's big and it's popular, but he is a complete asshole and he does not value the musicians that he makes his living
I keep on reading.
All his interviews are horrible. He is just the most soulless, awful person. So everybody should trash their Spotify accounts. Bottom line, I know it's fun and it's great to have free music, and you can never get the toothpaste back in the toothpaste container. Yeah. But you know, it's just if you value music and you care about art, you have to get it back to the artist in some way.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, like I said, it's like on all these streaming sites, you know, what is it? I use Amazon Music because whenever I buy something on their site, sometimes they give you the little MP3 of
the
album.
They're really cool. Yeah.
So that I like because, you know, it's like sometimes you can't always go and grab your CD and pop it in. Same with the movie. So if you own the CD or a movie, and you got a digital copy of it, it's more of something easier to get to. Mm-hmm. Again, like you said, it's not a replacement. And I'll have to admit, I do listen to the Spotify only so I can find more music for me to buy.
Right.
You know, but at the same time as I think I'm in the very, very low minority of people that are doing it that way.
Completely. It's probably you and me and 3 other people.
Right. And I mean, I don't use I don't have any Apple products. I don't have Apple Music, but I wouldn't use those as my, you know, instead of, you know, I use those in as part of, you know, I think, and anybody that, so, you know, because I've seen some people post on Facebook talking about, you know, oh, I only buy digital and stuff like that. And it's like, well, you know, what if you don't have that thing saved to a cloud or something like that, and your device that you have on crash, it's gone. You
You
can't
got to
get,
back up.
you,
Yeah.
you can't, you know, if you don't have a backup, you know, because not a lot of people do backups, and I'm one of them that doesn't.
You
But
better.
I have my cloud, you know, the
Mhm.
one that I put music on that I can listen to from different locations. Um, my devices, whether my tablet or my phone. But that's only, you know, like I said, as you know, I can't bring my CDs with me when I'm out and about.
Yeah.
So having these things is like an extension.
Right.
Um, but I got the cloud. You know, I pay some money for it. You know, to make sure that I got all my music that's uploaded to my computer is also there. You
Good.
know, the movies that I have, you know, that are obviously the ones that, you know, they give you the little code where you go to a website and you type in the code. I have
Mhm.
those there. So, you know, it's like, but ultimately I like hard copy,
Yep.
you know, and
I
I
mean, my
understand.
oh, go ahead.
I understand there's some people out there that don't have a lot of space, just like I was saying that I don't have the space for a full record or any record, you know, I just don't have that space. You know, maybe people don't have the space for CDs because, you know, some apartments aren't made with that in mind. They, you know, they may have it in mind to have, oh, okay, you could have a couple little books on your shelf,
Yeah.
but half the time those books are just decorations.
Wouldn't that be great if every apartment came with a music storage facility?
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
here's your storage, here's your rack for all your records, your CDs, you know, and
that'd be
everything.
great. Well, and for me though, too, with CDs, my favorite listening experience is still in my car. I have an old car that not only does it have a CD player, it also has a cassette deck in it. Um, and
Oh,
Yeah, and but I love putting CDs on and tooling around with music loud in the car.
well,
That's a great place.
like I said, I got a USB port on my in my car, so I can
Oh,
just so I load that up with stuff. You know, a lot of times I just put the full albums because I'm not very seldom do I just want to listen to one song of the band. Sometimes you know, most of the time I just want to listen to the whole album,
yeah.
and sometimes the whole album is uh, in my car will maybe take a few days to listen to, but that's what I like to listen to in the car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like you have the different ways, and I think, you know, technology is so great these days to do that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure that the quality of the music when it's down on the USB is not as good as the source.
Yeah, but if you're in your car, who cares? You're
You know,
driving
got
over the road and got all kinds of noise. It doesn't matter.
you got people next to you in the car with their the ghetto music, you know, boom boom boom,
Mm-hmm.
you know that you can't, you know, you when they hear that you want to crank up your music even louder,
I
you
know.
know.
Here, crank this. You hear that Lamb Lies Down on Broadway? Yeah,
Yeah, and they go,
that's real
okay,
music.
it's real music, yeah. But yeah, it's fantastic. You know, you have all these now platforms that you can use that are at your hands to use to get your music out there. You know, I really think that this is, even though we're in dire times, think some good can come out of this for musicians. You
Well,
know,
it's one thing that I'm always interested in. Like I even just talked about the other day because it's sort of a interesting theme. But John Lennon used to talk about how he wanted to write a song in the afternoon. He used to say he used to want to write a song in the morning and release it by the afternoon. Instant communication with your people and your audience. And you know, we're so close to that. And, you know, I'm very fortunate that before COVID, I'd, you know, had, like I said, I've got my little studio environment in place. I have a lot of elements that are together, that, you know, it's up to me to maximize. You know, no one's
Exactly.
going to do it for me. I need to do it. So when I made my marketplace available on October 1st, I said, well, I'm going to put out 2 brand new singles every month. And, you know, hopefully that'll get people excited to come back and, whoa, what's this month going to be, you know? And so it's amazing. I mean, like literally I was up till 4 a.m. finishing the vocals on a new song and then mixing the song all last night, all yesterday. And it's off to my mastering engineer today, and it'll probably be available for everybody tomorrow. So
There
it's
you
not
go.
quite super instant, but it's close. You know,
It's
I mean,
close enough.
you
Yeah.
still, you know, John's vision isn't really accurate because you do need a mastering engineer to touch your audio. You know, you need to mix it and do a good job. And if it's a complicated song, that's going to take some time, but
Oh yeah.
you know, a day or two in general. And then, you know, I'm only one person, so I am doing all the overdubbing, and that takes a couple days of getting these songs together. But you know, I've got a pretty good system down where if I have the tune, I can record it in 2 or 3 days from the ground up, you know, producing it, arranging it, deciding, you know, writing it, but then producing, arranging it, and recording it in 2 or 3 full days, mixing it in 2 or 3 days, and then getting it to my mastering engineer and getting it online. So, you know, it's the technology is incredible, you know.
And
It's
hopefully
awesome.
with this, someone, you know, even if maybe a friend of a friend of a friend of some musician out there sees your one of your live feeds, maybe once this pandemic is over, that maybe they, you know, it's how do you say it? You're developing, you know, contacts, even if you don't know who
Sure.
that person is that's watching you. But
Yeah.
you know, they're probably like writing it down, saying, okay, well, Joel Martin, he should do this, that, and the other. And he said, that's someone I need, and
Yeah.
he's got the talent to do it.
Well, hopefully. I mean, for sure, that's a huge hope. And I mean, you know, that's the crazy thing about the internet is like I have some of my favorite musicians in the world, you know, coming in and checking out my live streams as it is, you know, like
Right.
it blows my mind sometimes, you know, like you know, I won't publicly out anybody, but you know, just it's so wild. You know, I literally have people that I've been listening to for 30 years and, you know, kind of a fanboy over, you
Right.
know, you know, will come up and check out one of my live streams. So and then who knows who's watching it, you know, after the fact.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's a big thing too. And you know, you know, I love it when people chime into the chats and, you know, let me know they're there. Of course, I don't
Oh
always
yeah.
get to see it though because I'm usually too busy playing and
Oh
doing
yeah.
stuff. And so there's a lot of times I won't even see. And then I'll talk to someone weeks after and they'll say, "Man, I've really been enjoying your live streams." Or I'll get a weird tip, you know, some weird patronage from someone that I'm like, I have no idea that that person was even, you know, coming in and looking at my pages at all. You know, someone I haven't even communicated with will let me know that they've been watching my streams. So that's all extremely rewarding. It's just, you know, it's incredible. It really touches me, you know.
I
So
guess maybe.
again, it just makes me want to do a better job, you know. So it's like, and I feel really good about what, you know, again, just the technology is so cool. I mean, you know, I had a real hard time through August and September, kind of going through some growing pains, but you know, now I've got such a stable video platform, and I'm putting it out, you know, in full HD on YouTube, and I'm maxing out the quality settings on Facebook. You actually can't go full HD on Facebook. You can go
Right.
720p. So I've got the highest setting on Facebook. I've got full HD on YouTube, and I'm really trying to make it a fun, creative space for people to come.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, like you said, it would just be really amazing if, at the end of this, if I've, been able to reach a bunch of new people. I mean, that's the great thing about, I don't like, we have our prog connection for sure,
Right.
and but I'm also knee deep in the jam band scene,
Right.
and to me, so much of the best playing in the world is happening in the jam band scene right now. You just have all these stellar musicians that are acting outside of their own bands, let's say, and
Right.
then they meet each other and put little ensembles together and tour, and it's generally around the music of the Grateful Dead, but definitely not just that. And there's just so many great people. I mean, like O'Teal, the bass player in Dead and Company, is just a fascinating musician, and he'll go out and play with uh Melvin Gibbs and do the Jerry Garcia band, and all the guys that are in the Joe Russo's Almost Dead scene. Those guys are all incredible musicians who all do their own projects. One of the things that got canceled when COVID struck was a festival out here in Ventura called Skull and Roses, where it's 3 days of largely all Grateful Dead cover bands from all over the country.
Right.
And the level of quality of musicianship is off the charts. I mean, it's all those guys I just mentioned, all the individual players that play in Dead and Company now. I think everybody except for, let's say, I think Mickey wasn't on the schedule and Bob Weir wasn't on the schedule, but Bill Kritzman's band was playing. Oh, and John Mayer wasn't going to show up, I don't think. But it's just like there's so much great playing there, and that's definitely where I would love to be. I mean, especially as a steel guitarist, where there aren't really too many of us on the scene, especially that are making it their full-time thing. There's a few guitarists that also play steel, but I don't know. I think I bring something interesting to the table. So, if
Right.
any of these bands wanted me to tour with them, that would be amazing. But then also I'd like to lead a band and play guitar, go out and take that out on the road. So if people were interested in what I'm doing on the live streams, I'd love to get a really psychedelic, really creative band together, and take that out into the world. That would
Oh
be
yeah.
incredible.
So it's like this is almost right now, how would you say, like a meeting place where it's like, okay, I can meet different musicians, and you can get to know them. You share music ideas with each other. So uh, you're gonna skip that step when you meet them in person because you already got ideas as to what you're all about. Now you just need to put the ideas into play.
Oh yeah.
Whereas the other way, it's like you have to get together and make your ideas and then play. So it's like right now you're skipping that step, and that's what I think with doing live chats, or if you're doing private chats, video chats with people, you're getting to know them, even though you don't get to know them physically as to but you're getting their vibe off them, what they're what they're all about musically.
Hmm.
Because let's say you'd say, "Oh, I play guitar, I play pedal steel, etc." And maybe they don't know how you play it, So talk to them, and they come to your live streams and they say,
Hmm.
"Oh, well, hey, okay, I heard pedal steel before, but I never heard it played the way Joel's played it." you know,
Hmm.
maybe he does, you don't strike me as a traditional pedal steel player. You're not just like basically stuck right in that little area. You have your other instrument ideals in your head, so you maybe add that to it, which makes your playing a little more unique than what everybody's perceived. It'll be just the same as say someone that plays banjo. Let's say we all know what banjos. We think of Deliverance, but maybe there's someone out there that's playing the banjo in such a fashion that it's like, wait a second, I didn't know it
There
could be
are.
played. It could
Yeah.
be played that way. Just the same
Look
with
at Bella Fleck, geez. Or, I'm gifted because I don't know if you've seen it, but I play in a jam band out here in Los Angeles called the Alpine Camp. And we have a killer banjo player named Adam Hall, and he runs his banjo through phasers and, crazy devices, and he kills, and it's just such a great sound. And I appreciate what you said about me and the steel. To be honest, what I enjoy about my pedal steel playing, because why do we do this? We do this because we want to hear a certain sound. Um, I'm kind of both sides of things. I'm actually an ultra traditionalist in one respect. Like, I have a late 60s instrument that I generally play into a mid 60s amplifier. And to me, that sound has never been bettered. I mean, having an actual technology has gotten better, and it's sort of robbed the pedal steel of some of its sound to me.
right,
I mean, like if you think about how all of our favorite bands have weathered the last 40 years, like guitar took a really weird turn in the 80s and the 90s, where all of a sudden you had people playing like Steinbergers, the tiny little graphite instruments,
right.
and you ended up with a lot more like artificial materials built into the instruments. Pedal steel went the same way, only pedal steel never came out of it, really. I mean, you don't have anybody making steels that are really like they were in the 60s, and that's for better or for worse. I mean, my guitar has a lot of weird little, let's call them well, what should we call, it has a bunch of weird little problems with it,
Right.
but I love the sound of it so much I'm willing to put up with it, but like that sound to me has never been bettered. So I like that I have that. I'm touching this because, oh, you can kind of see it sometimes. This is actually my pedal steel right here that I'm sitting here fondling. Um, but uh, but then also, I mean, we're in 2020 for Christ's sake. You got to take the music somewhere. I don't want to just sound. I love Don Helms on Hank Williams records. That's where it started. Where we all do what we do. But there's so much more in music. I like John Coltrane. I like Frank Zappa. I like Jimi Hendrix. Why would I? This is another thing about pedal steel playing, is like a lot of pedal steel players are trapped in the vocabulary of the instrument as it was defined in the 60s and 70s
Right.
and 80s. And to me, it's all the same 12 notes. So, yes, I love that stuff to death. I mean, it's why I play pedal steels, because I love Tom Brumley in the Buckaroos. It's because I love everything Paul Franklin plays. It's because I love everything Lloyd Green, the most recorded steel guitarist who did all the great Nashville hits and sessions and whatever. All these amazing players. We have this incredible legacy as steel guitarists. But okay, then what? Like, why can't I put a fuzz on it? And actually, to be honest, even adding all the effects that I love, because I'm a hippie, because I love psychedelic music and I love making weird sounds, that shit's all been done before too. I mean, Buddy Emmons, who was the most important steel guitarist that ever lived, he was running his pedal steel through an Echoplex in the 60s, and everybody was running it through fuzz pedals and you know, Leslie speakers, you know, that stuff has all been done. And then it's really weird because I think in trying to make country a more modern thing in the 80s, all of a sudden steel guitarists weren't allowed to do that for some reason. It was like, keep the steel guitar in the back. Nobody came out and was like a real like presence. You know, there were some
Right.
great players. I don't want to piss anybody off. There were great players through and through. But, you know, like, you know, in the 60s, you had this overwhelming, you know, blossoming of the instrument. And that's never been equaled since then. You know, I'll tell you now, there are a hell of a lot more people playing pedal steel in Los Angeles than there were 10 years ago or 12. You know, when I started taking this instrument up seriously in 2008, and when I started, there was just almost no one around. There were, you know, a couple old timers and maybe a couple people that also just didn't really play very much, but it wasn't a big deal. And now it's huge. I mean, there's so much competition here in LA. I felt when I started, even in 2008, that I knew everybody that owned a pedal steel in LA, and now I don't have that feeling at all. You know, there are just a lot of people that are playing and getting out there, which is great and encouraging, but you know, we need to take it somewhere. You know,
Yeah.
a real trip of it is in 10 or 20 years. I mean, assuming we still have a planet to be on, pedal steel is kind of a dying instrument. There are not new luthiers coming out and making amazing guitars. You know, there are the same people that have been making guitars for 20 or 30, 40, 50, 60 years, you know, and you know, it's so sad because of course we're losing that generation of people that was making music in the 60s and 70s. We're losing the great makers as well. So, you know, I'm not sure where this instrument is even going to be in 10 years. I mean, for instance, the kind of guitar that I want to play is a very specialized layout, and I literally can't find anybody to make it right now. So like, if I went out to buy a new guitar, I would have to buy something different than what I'm used to playing right now, or that I want to play. So that's a weird thing, because here we are in 2020, but the kind of guitar that I want to play that was available in the 60s is not available anymore. There's no one that has the setup to make it. No one will
Right.
do it. So that's a real drag. That's horrible, you know, and it's only going to get worse. I mean, you know, in 10 years, maybe all the people that are making guitars now that we love are not going to be here. So, and I don't think there are any new people that are coming and carrying the torch, you know, so that's a scary possibility, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
These
I
are the things
know.
that keep me up at night.
Well, you know, I do watch a lot of guys, you know, even though half of the things that they're talking about, I don't understand, but I like to listen to um, um, people such as yourselves that are, these guys are actually, I saw one guy that was experimenting. He made a guitar. He just curious. He made a guitar completely, well, the body was made out of concrete.
Wow.
And the neck was wood, but the thing was concrete, and he played it. And he said the only difference that he said didn't hear a difference in sound, but he said you're adding an extra 20 pounds.
Yeah, I don't know
You
why
know,
anyone would do that.
so he just wanted to see if it would sound like a guitar. And
Interesting.
obviously, it sounds like this guy probably has, you know, the money to do crazy experiments like that, you know, and but you know, there lies the thing, you know, experiment. And it's like
Yeah.
it seems like that's with newer musicians, that seems to be a dying art. You know, it's only musicians from our generation that still might have that, you know, flowing in their brains. Like, yeah, I want to experiment. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to just use the guitar for its traditional sounds.
Mhm.
I want to make some weird noises out of it that aren't generally associated with the instrument,
Right.
you know. you know, I've watched so many different guitarists, you know, of different calibers, and they're using their guitars for, you know, their traditional, what they're traditionally made for, but then also, you know, they're experimenting, and I think that's where the best music comes from, is the experimentation. And that's why I was saying with you with the pedal steel, it's like you don't, when I listen to you play it, it doesn't sound like how it's, most of the time it doesn't sound like it's what a traditional pedal steel sounds like. It sounds like there's something, you know, coming out of it sound wise that's okay, that's a pedal steel, but it's like it's doing something a little different that, you're not confined to the little box.
Yeah.
And just, it's just the same, it's like with any instrument, okay, use it for what it's made for, but if you got a creative mind, experiment, you know. If it's primarily an acoustic instrument and you want to see how it sounds electric, make it happen. It's like
Yeah.
you got to make everything happen. If you got it if you got it up here and you got the creativity to make it down to your fingers, make it happen.
Amen, dude. So,
It's like
okay.
I'm a fan. I'm a listener. I never had really the patience to learn an instrument, even though back in third grade I learned folk songs on a 12-string guitar.
Mm.
And because that was really the only guitar that we could get a hold of. My mom knew someone in the church choir that had a 12-string guitar. And she said, "Would this do?" And the teacher was like going, "Yeah," he says, "it's going to be a little more difficult, but yeah, we can make it work." And I only did it for that summer, and I don't know, a third grader sometimes, unless they have it in their blood, they're not really gonna. I lost interest in it, and it's like the patience, because I wasn't getting some of even the simple folk songs. I wasn't really getting them. So
well, you did have your work cut out for you, because being that, being a little third grader, I have a very difficult time playing acoustic 12 strings. I mean, they're very challenging to play. You have to put so much energy.
That's what I was told later on, when I mentioned that I did that. He said, "How did you do it?" And I said, "I don't know. That's the only guitar that was available for me."
Yeah.
We couldn't afford, at the time, to go and buy a guitar. And the thing was, this is my parents weren't sure if this was a passing phase for me or what. So they weren't going to invest something unless they honestly knew I was going to continue it. And I didn't. And I kind of felt bad that I didn't, because later on, I think in my 20s, I went down to Guitar Center in Hollywood, and I bought myself an Ibanez good guitar. It was all colors. It was deep purple. And I got the little tiny amp, and all I was doing was making noise. I had no idea what I was doing. And after a summer of doing that, I was like, it went into the closet. And then a friend of mine who was a musician, he saw that and he goes, "Oh, you play?" And I go, I was messing around with it. I said, "I don't know if I can say I played." And he says, "Well," he said, "that's a cool guitar. You want to sell it?" And I go, I needed money. So I said, "Okay." I sold it for, I think, a third of what I paid for. But he used it for the next 2 or 3 years, and he was I don't know what happened to it. I lost touch with him a few years back, because I had him on Facebook, and I lost touch with him, and I never asked him I didn't remember the guitar until now. Never thought to ask him, you know, do you still have the guitar, or did you destroy it? Did you, you know, a friend of mine gave me an out of tune bass, and I thought, I don't know what to do with this thing. So my friend's band was playing some sort of showcase uh, thing. Do you remember Florentine Gardens?
I remember it existing, but I never went there.
Okay. Well, they were playing there, and they had someone in the audience that were looking to be signed. So the bass player said, "Oh, let me have this. Let me buy that off of you." You know, I said, "I got it for free, so whatever you want to give me." You know, I think I got $50, so that was great. And so he wanted to light it on fire and then smash it. Well, this thing was so solid, he kept on smashing, trying to smash it. And it wasn't breaking. It wasn't breaking. It was a Spinal Tap moment. And then he just threw it off the stage, and it hit me in the knee. And I'm like going, great. And I'm recording, you know, I got the video camera and I'm recording this, and it hit me in the knee. So I was like, yeah, I was in focus, hit me in the knee, and it just jerked the camera out of focus.
Insult to injury.
Yeah, and I'm like going, geez, you know. I said, what you should have done was probably on the back, maybe hacksawed it a little bit, you know, kind of cheat. And then when you did hit it, it's now the structural integrity is you know gone. So when you hit it, it should have done what you wanted it to do. So it's like, you know, those were the only two instruments that I had in my possession, and
good stories.
Yeah, it was fun, you know, from that standpoint, you know, fan standpoint, to have things like that. But it's like, I much rather listen to someone that actually is putting 110% into the instrument, whether they're amateur, you know, just some guy, you know, every weekend just doodling on his guitar, you know, to someone that's ultra professional that's going on world tours every year. You know, anyone, those are people that are putting 100%. And I'd rather listen to them and to play, you know. I mean, I do kind of look back and I kind of say, maybe I should have stuck with it, you know, even if it wasn't something I wasn't 100% behind, at least it would have been something to do as an escape, you know, just pull out the guitar or pull out a
It's never
keyboard.
too late, baby. It's never too late.
Yeah.
Can always pick up something.
Oh yeah, you know, I've been
Fun to have
thinking
around.
about it.
Also, never better time to learn music. Almost everything is up on YouTube or tab on the internet. I mean, you know, I couldn't even imagine what it'd be like to learn an instrument now. Just everything's at your fingertips. It's so cool.
Oh yeah, you know, it's like, I mean, but then there's just a lot of music, you know, like for myself, you know, things that I mean, I didn't get strictly serious about music until the 90s. Before then, I had stuff, you know, I had CDs when the CDs came out, but it wasn't anything that, I mean, I just listened to them. I didn't care about their backstory. Now it's like when I get into a band, I immediately go on the computer. I want to know what their backstory is, why they did what they did.
Yeah.
You know?
What a great, fascinating time it is for that too. I love that too. I'm a big, you know, knowledge geek with the bands, and it's just like, I can't believe how much stuff is on Wikipedia now, you know, that people contribute. It's just so great.
Oh yeah, you know, especially, you know, when they were there and then they remembered and they typed, you know, they put all those interesting, you know, facts about, you know, it's like sometimes you wonder how did they make that sound happen, you know? You know, especially for someone on my end that doesn't know the instruments. That's why when I was doing my reviews, I made sure that all the bands knew. I said, I'm a fan. I'm not a journalist. I don't know a lot about what your instrument, the details of your instruments. I know basic knowledge, but what you're going to get from me is whether or not I like it. And I think ultimately that's what you, the musician, wants to know. Does the fans like it? Maybe they don't know what I'm playing, and that's okay. That's not the important thing. The important thing is if they like how you're playing and what you're playing, your music, because, and I had a lot of people, it's like they would fantastic, say, hey, great, that's fantastic. That's what I want. And I said, good. I said, because that's what you're going to get. Just the same with when I'm doing these interviews, it's like, I'm not going to be a traditional interviewer. I'm going to be someone that's talking to you, that we have conversation. That's why I like to bill these things as conversations rather than interviews. Because with an interview, it sounds too suit and tie, if that makes any sense. A conversation is like two friends sitting down, on the opposite side of the country and talking about music.
Yeah.
And getting out the information about your music, and people that may have never heard of you before. This will give a chance to reach that audience, and that's what I think the important thing about these type of these shows that I'm doing is like I want to get to people that it's nice when you get to your niche of people, but if all you're going is for there, you're going to miss out on the rest of the people out there that maybe they don't know about this music, and then they hear it and they go, wow. Because I kind of call that, I mean, I'm sure it's a different term, but I kind of call that a musical epiphany, because it's like all of a sudden it's like your whole world is now blown wide open.
Oh yeah.
And I had that back in 1990 when I was working in a record store, and the manager put on Pink, Crimson, Red. And when I heard that, I was like, going, wow. I didn't think there was anything beyond what I was listening to, and all of a sudden that just opened up, so many doors,
Yeah.
and I'm still to this day, anything that's new, even if it's already been out a decade or three, if it's new to me, it's like I want to know about it, and I like to, listen to and see, new stuff. I mean, there's bands that, I'll always just listen to them on the radio, and then finally, decades after they've been out, I buy them on CD, and then I get to hear the other songs, the non-hits, and it's like, I'm like going, well, wait a second. These non-hits sometimes are better than the hits.
Oh yeah, I'm an albums guy all the way. So this is Prognaut. What's new in prog rock? What are you listening to now?
What am I listening to now? Well, I'm going through a lot of different phases. Like last night, I was listening to these two.
What's the? I know Mort. What's the other one?
Universe Zero.
Yeah.
I think it's pronounced Heresy. It's their second album.
Gotcha.
And it has like Jack the Ripper on it. It's like, I mean, it's such dark, perfect for the times, and actually it's perfect for your background. It's that music for your background. It's like, and my friend, yeah, he's got his friends behind him.
Keep it down.
I've been also getting, trying to think of other things that I just recently got into. Oh, here, going back to my thrash metal days, Death Angel.
Oh, awesome. I met their singer last year. Such a nice guy.
Yeah, I used to have them on cassette, and then that was from 86 to 89, and then when I got into the record store and I got into prog, I did something really stupid. I got rid of a lot of that music, and I'm still, you know, building that part back up of my life of the music, like Metallica and Megadeth and stuff like that, and then what is it? Anthrax. I mean, I've been getting some there.
Well, I think you'll have 2 more days to do it, but Mr. Bungle just did a live show last night featuring Scott Ian from Anthrax, and they were doing the first EP that had been unreleased for a long time,
Right.
Which is all thrash. So that's actually how I'm going to be spending my evening, is watching Mr. Bungle on their live stream. So
Now, didn't I did see what is it? Charlie's little live stream his stream that he does.
He's doing great stuff. Yeah.
And he did one of his old ones from Stormtroopers of Death, SOD.
Yeah.
Where he did, and he took that song "Speak English or Die" and reworked it to "Speak Spanish or Die," and had what's his name? Oh God, the guy, lead singer from Mr. Bum,
Mike Patton,
had him sing the lyrics in Spanish.
Oh wow! Oh,
it was wild. And I'm like going, yeah, okay, cool. This is, especially in today's climate, I thought that was, a nice, good little FU to some certain people out there.
Yeah.
But no, I used to, back in the early 80s, I can tell you one of my first rock cassette was Queen Greatest Hits, and the same purchase was Classic Yes. You remember that little compilation that they put out?
Yeah.
I had that, and that was like my little entry point to those two bands, and so I got the cassettes of all their stuff up until that time.
How old were you?
82, so 16.
Cool.
15, 16. But
yeah,
at that time, I didn't know that Yes was progressive rock. I just thought that they were just an interesting version of rock,
Yeah.
And just from that, and then like a year or so after that, I got the first ELP. So it's like, I had these things, but I had no clue who these people were, what this music was. It just sounded good. And then those two bands, all of a sudden, they just got pushed behind me when I got into, thrash metal, And it's like, I did that, move the pop and the rock music behind me so I can listen to more harder, faster stuff. And then I moved that behind me when I got into the progressive rock stuff. And it's only in the past 20 years that I'm slowly picking up the pieces of my musical childhood, back, going, hey, wait, I listened to that. I need to get that back in my collection.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I can, and it's fantastic to get it on CD, even if it was the first time getting it on CD. Like I got recently the Outfield, their first CD, their first album. I had that on cassette, and I used to play that all the time. That was back in 85. I used to play that all the time. And then, stopped. And it took, the death of the lead singer for me to go,
So sad.
wait, I need to, I need to relive that childhood, and got that, and it was like it's like reliving it all over again. And,
Mm.
it's like even though a lot of our musical heroes are, uh, slow but yet fast paced, leaving us.
Yeah.
And it's like it's going to get to a point where it's like they're not going to be, no one's going to be there, and it's like and I think it's honestly it's up to you as a musician and me as a fan to keep that alive.
Well, definitely trying. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. I've having such an aggressive live stream schedule. It's wild because we've been losing so many people. It's like almost every show I do seems like I'm having to do a tribute to someone. I mean, just this last, classic country is a big thing in my life too,
Oh yeah.
obviously, the Steel. And I mean, just last week we lost Billy Joe Shaver and the great Jerry Jeff Walker. And the week before that, we lost Johnny Bush, who wrote Whiskey River and a bunch of great songs, was an incredible singer. So in 3 weeks, we lost three of the greatest country writers ever, just really crazy and tragic, And then I kind of put together a show that also featured some John Prine, and then it was a year anniversary of Lou Reed's death. So it's like my whole show was people that had passed away in the last year, it was, scary, sad.
It's really, it is sad because it's like, some of these bands that I never got a chance to see live, I'm not going to be able to.
Yeah.
But that's where, CDs and live concerts on DVD or Blu-ray, I think come into play. That you're not there, but at least you get to see that. You don't get to feel the atmosphere; you get to see the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Of the bands, and it's like, I mean, like, for instance, yes, I had a friend of mine. We bought tickets to go see them on the 90215 tour was happening. And I was all psyched because I liked the songs that, I got the cassette. I liked the songs. I was like, oh, this is going to be great to see this band live. Well, he got sick. He couldn't go. He was the ride. So I had to sell the tickets because there was absolutely no way I was going to get there. All right. My parents were working. Both of them were working that particular day, so they couldn't take the time out to take me. And also, too, I didn't want to go alone. At that time, let's see, that was 83. So it was like, 16 years old. That was, I don't know.
Yeah, you're kind of a slave to your surroundings. I mean, I have the same deal. I mean, my biggest regret for live music is that I could have gone to see Frank Zappa on the Broadway the Hard Way tour in 1988. But also, I was 16. I wasn't driving. I could go to shows with my mom if my mom liked the performer. Like, we saw some killer shows together, but she didn't care about Zappa. I didn't have any money. I was really busy with my school and stuff. And it seemed like he toured a lot. So, I kind of just sort of felt like, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to do this tour, but maybe I'll see him the next time. And then, of course, he retired from live music after that tour and then died, So I was crushed because, I spent my teenage years playing guitar thinking I would join that was like my goal as a 15-year-old guitarist, was that I would join Frank Zappa's band. That was part of it,
Oh yeah.
So to not have, I never got to see Frank. I never got to see Jerry Garcia. you know, that's just a whole bunch of weird reasons, because I always loved Jerry, because, you know, my mom's bluegrass stuff, you know, she had bought Jerry's Old and in the Way record, you know, that band that was a bluegrass record.
Right.
She bought that when it came out, and I think it came out in 74, 75. And so we had that on the house all the time. But the dad just never made a connection to me. And then when I was like 20, I was into like musicians that were like kind of hyperkinetic. You know, I really liked players. I mean, I wanted to see a band that was going to be an incredible musical experience. You know, I either liked the shredding fusion guys like Alan Holdsworth,
Right.
or heavy prog. You know, grew up a huge Rush fan, but then I also liked all the King Crimson stuff. I wanted to see a band that was really together. And you know, when I was in my early 20s and finally able to drive and get out there, I didn't have any friends that were deadheads or anything. And so there wasn't like a social thing that was going to get me to the shows. And, you know, they were not playing at their best those last few years. So when you'd see them on MTV, they were kind of clunky, and, you know, it wasn't really a happening show. So, you know, I just wasn't inspired to get out there. And another thing, they were always playing in Los Angeles. So, you know, I kind of felt like, oh, you know, no, I don't really. And I was always poor. So, you know, it's like, oh, I can't go to that show. I'll see the next one. And then, yeah, Jerry died, you know. So,
Right. It's always like that. You know, it's like, you know, especially when, you know, a lot of those musicians really live hard lives,
I know.
well, especially the ones that, started in the 60s and 70s, that, drugs, alcohol, then, of course, get into harder stuff because trying to look for that inspiration, and things like that. It's like they get they age quicker than they should.
They put on the
Uh,
years, that's for sure.
but it's also all those years on the road.
Oh yeah.
That takes a toll on a person too. The age that way too, and they could go in like with you with a full set of hair and then come out with nothing.
Yeah.
After 30 years on the road, they could be doing that, and it's like,
Well, it's a hard life, and you know, if you're especially if you're doing it in the 70s and the 80s, you know, a lot of people didn't really know how to take care of themselves and weren't as health conscious as they could have been. And some people, you know, were pretty good about it, but most weren't. And, you know, you live in that lifestyle, and it can be a real problem. And, you know, it is a dangerous occupation, that's for sure. It has some serious job hazards. Of course, now, you know, it's like there's so much information on how to eat well and how to
oh yeah,
exercise well and how to perform. You know, some people have really gotten into a zone. I mean, you know, look at Mick Jagger. You know, he goes out, has the full calendar. He goes out and runs before every performance. You know, stays in. You know, they know how to live and how to eat. You know, what's going to motivate a good show, you
oh
know,
yeah.
like what's going to bring your body down or what's going to elevate you to the next level. You know, and you can really do it, you know, well and safely now. But yeah, if you were there in the 70s and just had a lot of bottles in front of you and whatever else, you know, I mean, God, growing up in an environment where you didn't know how dangerous cocaine would be, I mean, I can't even imagine.
I think I've been lucky that uh, I never was in that position for smoking or drinking.
You're very lucky.
Um, I think it was due to the fact that in junior high and high school, I was the loner. I was that guy you always saw in the corner. You know, I would, I would just kept to myself. I had
Hmm.
my headphones on, listened to music, and And, you know, because that was really, even back then, that was my only, I would actually say that was my only loyal friend, was music.
Mm.
It was always loyal to me. It very rarely
Oh,
disappointed. I mean, once in a while, those bands that all of a sudden they're playing at their best, and all of a sudden they just throw you a curveball when they're not that type of a band. I'm trying to remember some of them that at the beginning it did throw me for a curveball. Rush. Rush threw me a curve through with a curveball when they put out Grades Under Pressure.
oh,
But later on when I listened back to it, I'm like, but why? It was like listen to how the albums were progressing to that point. That was where the direction that they were going,
oh
you
yeah.
know. But at that time, you know, when Permanent Waves came out, on a friend of mine for my birthday, April 2nd, he got me that cassette on
That's a good friend.
1980. That same year it was put out. And I listened to that. I was like going, why did he give me this cassette? I never heard of Rush before that. Why did he give me this cassette? And I put it in my cassette player and I go, oh, this is pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, and I always thanked him, you know.
So good.
So it's like, I mean, but for me, concerts didn't start happening until the 90s. I mean, I
Mm.
did see a few things in the 80s. Like my very first concert was at the Greek Theater, 1983, Berlin, and Talk Talk.
Neat.
And then it wasn't for another 3 years, no, almost 4 years, when I saw Iron Maiden down in Long Beach.
Oh, awesome.
It was the Somewhere in Time tour.
Oh, okay, right. All right.
Then after that, I saw at the same the Long Beach Arena. I saw Ozzy on New Year's Eve,
Mm.
and I hated him because it was I was watching my clock. I was like going, okay, he's got all the balloons up there, so it's going to be it's going to be crazy, you know, once midnight happens. I look at my watch, it's midnight, 12:01, 12:02. It was almost 10 minutes after. Someone must have not told him what time it was. And then all of a sudden, Happy New Year. And then all of a sudden, I'm like going, you son of a bitch, you just ruined it.
That sucks.
You
Man,
know?
Long Beach Arena figured really hard in my life as well. What a great place that was. I mean, because I was a live music junkie from the get-go. I mean, like I went to my first concert at Long Beach Arena. Well, no, my first concert was the US Festival, if you remember that, in
Oh, yes.
1983. So I went on Metal Day, and it was amazing. And literally, I mean, that was all the bands that I loved and listened to were on that bill, except for Led Zeppelin, who had just broken up. So they weren't even on the table. And literally the only band that didn't play on that day at the US Festival that I loved to death was Iron Maiden. And they came around later that year on the Peace of Mind tour. And that was my second concert. And my parents took me and two friends, and we went and saw Maiden on the Peace of Mind tour at Long Beach Arena. And then later that year, I saw Ozzy, early 83, I guess. I saw Ozzy with Rat opening up on the Bark of the Moon tour. I saw Deep Purple in 1984 on the Perfect Strangers tour. That was with my mom, all at Long Beach Arena. I saw Jimmy Page on the Outrider tour, his solo tour at Long Beach Arena. And then I saw Maiden 2 nights in a row in 1985, which became the Live After Death record.
Yeah.
So, you know, they've filmed and audio recorded 3 shows, and I was at 2 of them. And those were amazing. Just all my dad drove me and all my friends, you know, we had like 6 people piled into my dad's old Oldsmobile, and we drove to Long Beach, which was a big deal. I grew up in El Segundo, and it was like a big deal to drive to Long Beach. And, you know, we did that.
I saw Queensryche down there, same place. I don't remember the year. I still have my tickets, the stubs. And then I saw one year, I think it was at the Forum. It was Queensryche and Metallica, I think it was. And then I think yeah, that was in 1990. So it wasn't until 1990 when I got to see a lot of different concerts, you know. And then I had a friend of mine that he took me to all sorts of ones, like down in at Irvine Meadows, went to see, it was a triple bill, but I don't remember the third band. It was Foreigner, Boston, and I forget who the other one was. And it was when Boston had like 3 or 4 guitar players, you know. And I'm like going, why do you need that many? Because it's like it's the same sound coming off the stage. You don't need, you know, it's like I could see for that sound 2, maybe 3, but then when there's 4 up there, you know, unless there's different kind of guitars, it's like,
well, you'd have the guitar harmonies. So you'd have the big solos that were 2 guitars doing a harmony line. So that's right. 2 guitars. Then you would have another guy playing a clean rhythm track. That's right. 1. And then you'd have another guy playing like a chunky distorted rhythm thing, you know. So it's like there's your 4, you know. You got to replicate Tom Schultz's brilliant guitar landscape that he would put down.
Oh, I know. It's like, geez.
Hilarious. He's so great.
And then I had a friend of mine that he was notorious for creating tickets for shows that looked almost like ticket. And we got into Universal Amphitheater. We got in to see ELP. And these were fake tickets. We got in. Don't know how we got in. All I was doing is I was shaking because I thought, we're going to get caught. We're going to go to jail. This is not, you know. I said, why am I doing this? Why am I doing it? Good show. Enjoy the show. He then made a backstage pass. And he got back there and he was talking to Emerson.
Oh my God.
About, you know, anything he can think about.
Brilliant.
And then he did one at the, what is it? Not the Forum. I forget what it was. Sports Arena, I think it was.
Oh.
LA Sports Arena, the little circular one. He got his tickets. He made the tickets to see Neil Young and Stone Temple Pilots.
Whoa, what a bill.
And he made, but the thing that he didn't take into account, it was a sold out show.
Oh.
So here we are, we had the tickets and we're going to go sit on the seats. Now he made them purposely to be up top. So if you were down below, it'd be a little more sketchy, but up there, I go, dude, there's people in the seats that you've made tickets for. So here we are, we're shuffling around all over the sports arena, you know, staying away from the security guards.
Yeah.
Because, you know, usually they tell you, you know, get in your seat, get in your seat, get in your seat.
Yeah.
You know, that. So didn't get to enjoy the show at all.
Yeah, that's
because we were more concerned about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I was like, going, dude, don't do that again. I said, if you want to do that on yourself, you know, don't tell me, you know. And then forget, he kept on doing that a few more times until he did get caught. And he did get, he only got a weekend in jail.
He had to go to jail? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he was this kind of guy that it's like if you told him to leave, he got combative. Oh, he basically he didn't go to really jail for being there when he shouldn't be. He got there because he was being a bit of an ass.
Oh, that's lame. Yeah.
So it's like I'm like going when we found out that he went to jail, another of my friends, we were just laughing and said, "Yeah, that's so typical of him," you know. And it's like, you know, hey, I never went to another show like that again.
Mm.
The next I would say legitimate show that I went to was the first Prog Fest
Mm.
over at UCLA at the Royce Hall.
So good.
And I've been to all of the Prog Fests that were in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to the one where they did 1 year up in the Bay Area.
Right.
But I really wish that he would have continued it in the 2000s instead of like 2000 was the last one.
Yeah.
You know, I think primarily I heard that he was losing money by the boatloads.
Oh, I'm sure that he was. And he put on a good show. I mean, you know, getting Royce Hall, come on, that's ridiculous. And the Variety Arts Center too. That was such a great venue. I love that place. I miss that place.
I loved, you know, in between bands, just walking all the different areas, you know, that were open for, you know, to walk in, you know.
Yeah.
You know, going upstairs to the vendor area, then going into the balconies, you know. I like being in the balcony because it felt like I was a little bit closer to the stage than down below, because then I'm not looking over someone's head.
I got really lucky. I had really good seats for the Anecdote year, you know, that Prog Fest. Yeah, I was on the floor and pretty close to the stage, and I think we talked about it. That was one of the best. I still think about that weekend as just being one of the best. Well, that day, that grouping of Anecdote next to Kevin Gilbert doing the Lamb. That was just like the best couple of hours of music I'd ever seen in my entire life. I was in heaven. I mean, I was already a huge Anecdote fan, and then they blew my mind at that show. It was just perfect. And Kevin was phenomenal. I mean, that was just perfect. But what a great weekend.
I found out about Anecdote when after the first Prog Fest, 93, they put out at the vendor tables, and I saw the CD right next to the Engelgard CD, and I asked the vendor, I said, "Who's it?" "Oh, if you're going to buy the Engelgard, you got to buy this Anecdote. You got to buy this." So I got a chance to hear what they sounded like before seeing them live, and then when it got announced that they were going to be at 94 and then again in 95, I was like, "Oh, cool." Oh, no, wait. They weren't. 94 had the second visit of Engelgard.
Engelgard was there, and Anecdote was 94. And that's the only time they've ever played in Los Angeles.
I know. I did get to see Anecdote down in one of the Baja Progs. I think it was 2007. That was the last concert thing that I saw that was when I was on the West Coast. And then when I moved here in 2008, it wasn't until 2009 I got to see, my girlfriend and I went to a festival in Pittsburgh called the 3RP, the Three Rivers Prog Festival. And we got to see Glass Hammer, IQ, Fido, I'm not sure.
Yeah, Fido.
And quite a few other little bands too, and it was nice. It was like a nice little festival, and that was in 2009. And then, you know, because money, and then last thing I got to see was, you know, Rossfest in 2012. I haven't seen a live concert since.
Wait, what? You haven't gone to a live concert?
Money.
Oh my God.
It's money, and also here in Maine, not to insult the area, but it's like our kind of music doesn't come here.
Wow.
Classic rock, but the hits guys, you know, none of the, you know, the other kind of bands, you know, that are retired, but you know, you got the classic rock bands, country bands, which I don't like, but I have heard, you know, music. But the new country is different than the old country, you know.
Yeah, it is.
Then of course you got the hip hop, and then I think occasionally they have, you know, like some sort of a heavy metal fest, but it's a lot of these, you know, all it is just, you know, screaming, you know, there's like,
Yeah.
it's like all right in your face, you know, they don't, you know, let up for some atmosphere going on, like our, you know, like the classic metal bands used to do, you know, where it's like they weren't all, you know, all of a sudden they would come in with a, you know, an acoustic passage, or they would, you know, have a little slowdown moment, you know, and then get back
Sure.
into, you know, but now most metal music is all in your face.
Yeah.
They don't give you a
And
chance.
I was gonna say, and the Cookie Monster vocals,
Yeah, got
just my
that going.
least favorite thing in the world. I just hate that. Just
For me, I can. It's a give and take with that. But if that's all they're doing,
yeah.
I can't get into it.
I hate it all the time. Like, what's that other great Opeth, you know,
Yeah.
like they're so good. I really love, you know, like they feel it. They do the right stuff, and then they come in with the Cookie Monster vocals, and it's just like not my.
It took me a while for them, but that's really, if you're gonna, if for that style of vocals, that would be the only band I would listen to as that
For
kind of
sure.
vocal.
100%.
Because the other ones, I don't know, they just don't. I mean, I don't mind aggressive folk, you know, because metal's not supposed to be, you know, someone singing soft and, you know,
Right.
you know, they're supposed to have some aggression behind it, but
Oh no, you got to. I mean, like I love Mike Patton. Like I'm so excited to watch this Mr. Bumble show. You know, it's Mike Patton's a real artist. I think he does great stuff. And then for some reason, if he like even he doesn't really do the Cookie Monster thing, but even if he does, it's through the Mike Patton filter of creativity and art. And it's
oh
so
yeah, yeah, he does it. Yeah, when I hear his stuff, like, okay, going back to Cookie Monster thing, do you remember, or did you ever? I'm sure you did, but that saxophonist John Zorn.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, remember that album Naked City?
Yeah.
I had that on CD only because they were playing it on over the sound system, and I kind of like that. And when that vocalist came on and, you know, did I think they did TVI, and he was just doing that screaming. It's like that was the first time I heard vocals done that were not. They were, you know, that they were extreme.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it fit with the music. It's just the same with Mike Patton's when he does that screaming thing. It fits with the music, but it's like, but he has his music. It's all atmosphere. It's not everything, not in your face.
Yeah, totally.
And honestly, if it is in your face, it's maybe a minute and a half song. You know, just indefinitely.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's not doing like a 6 or 7 minutes of, you know, we're not going to let you breathe music. You know, you're not going to get a chance to take a deep breath on stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
2 hours in, how long do you want to go?
as long as you want to go, it's, you know, it's almost 5, you know, maybe another half hour if you like, you know.
Okay.
That's let's see if we can break what was it, that Echelman record of 3 hours.
What was that?
It was a few weeks back. A few weeks back. The guy Sean, he did an interview with 2 of the guys from Echelman, and I saw it when he posted on YouTube. It was 3 hours, a little over 3 hours.
Wow.
But you know, you got to remember they got a discography going back to '92, so he was talking about every single album and then getting their commentary on what happened.
Mm.
And, you know,
They were so good at that prog fest. Oh my gosh.
they were loud. I was sitting two or three. There was this older guy, about 2 or 3 seats away from me. He was like, and he was holding his ears. He said, "Damn it, these guys are too fucking loud."
I don't
I'm like,
remember that being a thing, but you
I
know,
thought they were perfect. I mean,
yeah,
they were a young band. You
yeah,
know,
good energy.
they had the energy of the time. You know, I kind of felt like they fit in the uh, with the. They were kind of like complementary to almost the mainstream rock music that was going on at that time. You know, and so I was expecting them to be loud. I mean, they were loud on their CDs. They weren't. No one was playing a subdued guitar or drums or bass. You know. So it's like I was expecting it to be loud, and when it happened, and then when I was listening to this old guy next to me, granted, I was in my 30s. He was like 20 plus years to me. So it's like, and here he is complaining about loud. And I always, when he did that, the thing that came into my mind is that old saying, if it, if it's too loud, you're too old.
Yeah.
It's like, well, maybe you need to go listen to, something more subdued. If, but, oh, 11
Oh,
p.m. there.
your friend Wyman's bailing.
Yeah.
Oh, he might be our only listener.
Yeah.
Is Scott still with us? Scott, are you still on?
I think he bailed a while back.
Huh?
We had a little glitch at one time. Yeah, there was a guy, Chet Desmond, that was on.
Yeah, that's my buddy Scott.
Is that his stage name?
Yeah. I think there's two people on. I think I'm the other one, so that's
Yeah.
depressing. But when there's two, that's the two is probably you. Oh, that's depressing.
Oh. Well, if you want, we can wrap it up and then.
Not a good idea. I got to get a mix together. I got to do the last little tweaking of my mix for the song that I'm sending to the mastering engineer, and then tomorrow he's going to work on them. So I'll have 2 brand new songs available for people. Hopefully on Tuesday. We were gonna try to have one today, because I tell people November 1st, first of the month. Who's that? Neil Hunter. What up, Neil?
Yeah, he's in Las Vegas.
Oh man, right on, right on. But yeah, busy day getting that together. But this week has just been crazy because I got both of these songs all recorded from the ground up and mixed them over the last couple of days, in addition to preparing the big Halloween show that I did.
Yeah, Neil used to do this band.
Oh, okay, cool. I don't think I know them. I don't know.
They were in the 90s.
Mm.
He sent me a big stack of his stuff.
That's cool. Well, that's awesome. You got Matt Brown next. What a fun 1-2 punch.
Yeah. I think it's going to take a while that I get people interested in watching this. I've been toying with the idea of maybe even doing this, because it has the thing where you can go live on YouTube. Maybe I'll get a bigger audience that way. I don't know. I could try it one show that way, one show this way, and see which one actually gets in more of an audience.
Well, I mean, just in my personal experience, I think you need to already have a fan base to make YouTube really work with you. So
I think because honestly, the last time I did any kind of reviews was in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And right after I had the mini stroke, and I had that in October 2015, and then I couldn't really think straight. Concentration levels were at the all-time lowest, so I just saying I'm not going to do justice to review. So I just basically just said, that it was April 2016. I just, called it a day. And I think because I'm so far, 4+ years, that I'm out of, even though some people still look at my website, it's just not the same amount of people,
Right.
you know. Hopefully this thing it'll gather up some speed, get some more people, and I'd love to do it again, down the line once, so we can get to
Totally.
even a bigger audience and get you that record deal.
Woo! Yeah, finally, yes.
Or at least get you, like I was saying earlier, you get you to an audience that isn't only your audience. Because when you're, it's nice to have, you have your fan base, but then, if that's all you got, then it's like, I don't think it allows you as an artist to grow. If you just listen, let's say you have, that certain amount of people that always watches your stuff or seeing you live, and it's the same group of people, and you're only marketing it to those people. I think in a way you're still growing as a musician each time you create new music. But I think it's like, okay, well, I'm only doing it for these guys, so they're not going to expect something way outside of our box, but by having more, a newer audience that's never heard of you, then he's like, oh, okay, now maybe I can expand out, maybe I can incorporate something,
I don't know. I'm just always trying to be me and trying to be whatever the truest aspect of that is. I mean, you can't even think about who's watching you, because we're all so different, and I think I really feel that because I like so many different kinds of things, like all the great stuff that we've talked about, from whatever classic country to prog to old metal and, Russian folk songs, I like it all, and it all filters through my head all the time. And to a certain, there's definitely a certain element where I don't have control of that. Like, I've got whatever the best idea is at that time, and that's going to come out. And depending where that puts me, it's going to put me there. And so I can't even sit there and think about what yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, if I can maybe, if I have a dear friend or something and I know what they like and they're watching, then I can do something for that person on a real thing. But whether it's going to be like, oh, today I'm going to play all of my songs, or today I'm going to play a country song, that's just stuff that I have to feel at that moment and make it right. So,
and it sounds like how you were saying that, for me, I like to listen, the music that I listen to is not, I can't say, oh, today I'm going to listen to this band or that band. It's like, however I wake up in the morning, the mood that I'm in is what I'll go to grab a CD or find it on my, my iPod or, whatever device I listen to music to at the time. And then, also then doing some exploring. It's like, I'm listening to this one band, I'm like going, okay, I want to listen to something else. And it's like, it's really literally going down the rabbit hole for me.
Yeah, totally. You just have to go, you have to follow, so corny and cliche, but you have to follow your heart. You have to go where that inspiration is. There was nothing telling me on Friday that it was going to be good business or make good sense for me to cover 2 Bob Drake songs. But, I felt that it was necessary and had to happen and could be of value to people. And I don't know, I hope someone enjoyed it. Crepuscular Vestibule is like the creepiest and most fun song. I thought it was perfect for Halloween. So,
we if people were expecting, that's the other thing is with Halloween songs, it's like there's traditional Halloween songs and then there's creepy songs that maybe they weren't originally made for Halloween, but they have the vibe, like
Oh
those,
yeah.
like these two ones, they weren't made for Halloween. They were just
Right.
made,
Yeah.
they the bands at that time felt this needs to be made.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's maybe they've been playing it, especially that Morte Macabre, all those songs except for two of them are originals. The title track Symphonic Holocaust is an original one, and I forget what the other original, but the rest were from European horror movies.
Yeah.
And it was so cool, and I think I've seen each and every one of those horror movies, so it's like I know. It's like whenever I hear it, I say, "Oh yeah, that's that song they did." Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh, I know, it's such a trip. I just yeah, I just was with some friends digitally through a website. We were watching a bunch of great horror movies last night, like Alucarda.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and
that's a trippy one.
and like we were all talking about Suspiria, and of course I played Goblin the other night on my show as well, and um I actually played Lullaby from Rosemary's Baby as well. That
Oh
was
yeah,
such a treat to learn. I've never thought about learning that ever in my life, but getting to play that, and I mean, yeah, I bought that Mort Macabre CD when it came out, and it's just been one of my favorite things that I've ever owned. I just love it to death. It's always great. I always tell people about it and post about it, typically on Halloween,
oh yeah.
but you're right. It is for every time, I love it to death.
A lot of we should do that one time. Just do a watching horror movies on the thing.
Oh yeah, I know. It's great. We watched that. We saw Curse of the Crying Woman, 19, you know that one?
Sounds familiar.
1961 Mexican horror. Beautiful, beautiful movie. Just gorgeously shot, black and white. I think Alucarda was my super fave from last night. I'd never seen it. It's funny because I'd never seen it before, but I've used images from it for flyers without knowing. Like
Right.
I'm always looking for cool looking art to use on flyers, and I used, there's a the classic weird Satan freakout scene in that movie. I used a still from that for a flyer, and last night I was watching the movie and it was blowing my mind, and I wasn't making any of the connections, and then I saw the scene that had the picture, the still that I used, and I was like, oh my god, that's that. But
Oh, I know.
that movie was a treat. That was just the best. But we saw a Michael Pare and Muriel Hemingway werewolf movie last night.
Mhm.
I
Yeah, those
can't
are
remember. Bad Wolf, Bad Dog,
Bad Moon.
Bad Moon.
Yeah, I
That
saw
was
that.
great. I never seen that before. That was really good. Yeah, great night of movies. I love that stuff. And yeah, just all the music. I mean, when you talk about Goblin, I'm so jealous because they were able to create and find such a great genre. I mean,
Oh, I know.
horror prog. You're a prog rock band that plays music for horror movies exclusively, really, more or less. It's so perfect. It's just
Oh,
like,
I know.
I
Well,
wish I'd
and
fallen into something like that in my life.
well, like when I first got to watch Suspiria back when I was working at the video store in '86. Oh, I said, this is the most trippiest horror movie I ever seen at that time. And I'm like, and the music behind that, the witch, I was like, damn. Actually, the music itself scared me more than the movie.
Oh, I know. Well, they just did the 4K re-release of that like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and it came through to the Egyptian Theater here in LA. And I have my good buddy Chris Schwab, who's a really great filmmaker too. We went down to that, and like the not even one of the horror sequences really, but the first big freak out section where she's getting to the dance studio where it's raining, and
Oh
I think she
yeah.
thinks someone's chasing her, and that's like the first time the main theme happens. It was almost too intense. Like in the theater, it was so, I mean, it was loud, and the imagery was clear and beautiful and pristine. You know, it was just it's actually my favorite cinematic experience where I've ever been in a theater. Like it was just in my soul. You know, it was like that loud and that beautiful and looked that good. It was incredible.
Oh yeah. You know, I got the Blu-ray, not the actual 4K, but the one that has a 4K scan on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the colors, I mean,
oh yeah, it's amazing
was
how
like
he had that set up, you know. Just, I mean, he was so creative, but then the way that it gets reproduced now with our current technology, it's like just like it's incredible that he had that in his mind, you know, 40 years ago,
yeah,
50, 45 years ago, and now it's even looking, you know, it's like it was made to be replicated like the technology now can do. It's just
oh, I
incredible.
know.
You know,
I mean, it just went perfect, you know, transfer for that.
Mm.
Some movies I don't think need to be done in 4K, but that was one that did, and it made a great experience even greater.
Completely.
For me, I don't know about you, but for me, since seeing it back in the 80s and then seeing it, you know, I had it on DVD, and it's like, but then to get it on, to see that 4K scan, it was almost as if I was watching it for the first time.
Oh, completely. I mean, my first time with it was watching it in sections on YouTube, you know, 10 years ago. You know, like we were like, oh, you got to hear this, you got to see this movie Suspiria, and we'd never heard of it. And so, you know, it was when people were first starting to figure out how they could put movies on YouTube. So, you know,
10 minute,
15-minute chunks in the shittiest quality possible off of their VHS transfers. You know, like it looked and it sounded horrible, and yet we were glued to it. You know, we were just like, this is the best thing in the world. And so yeah, seeing it come out in any professional fashion in a theater was mind-blowing. But then when you get the reward of seeing all the technological payoffs now, you know, it's just, oh, it's so good.
Oh yeah, you know,
again, I think we're alone now.
We're down to 2.
I think that's us though.
I think that is us, but every once in a while I see it drop down to 1.
I know. How can it drop down to 1? Because you're watching it on your device and I'm watching it on my device.
I don't know.
That's weird. I always wonder about that too in my live streams, because sometimes it'll look like there's only 5 people there, but there'll be like 10 people talking. I'm like, what's that? I don't even know.
See, now it's down to 1.
How can it be 1?
I don't know.
You and I are watching on separate devices. Maybe it's figuring out the IP of your cable modem. You're on a cable modem?
Yeah, so that's probably what it is.
So that's, but still, we would, okay, so you're not counted then, and I'm the 1.
Yeah, and then so there's someone else that's popping in and then popping back out.
Yeah, that's probably where you're seeing is Chet, who's my friend Scott.
But
you know, this will probably take a life of its own. You know, once you put it on, you know, after this, it'll be up on Facebook. And then, you know, if you, you never were recording it, or did you start recording it?
Yeah, I think I got it. Well, it gets recorded onto Facebook, but I was kind of recording it so I can
put it on YouTube.
On YouTube, but
yeah.
if it doesn't, you know, that's okay. You know, first show you're gonna run into,
yeah,
you know, issues, but I really think that once we get it rolling, that's why I was saying, we could do this again sometime,
Anytime. Yeah,
um,
love to chat with you. And I mean, I think the next, I mean, I feel like it's so weird. I mean, like, yeah, who knows what's happening in our world, first off. But, I certainly don't think our music scene is going to be recovered through next summer. Even if there was a vaccine you could just take today and everybody would be well, to build that infrastructure back up of
I
touring
know.
is going to take a little while. So people will get out, but it's not going to be like it was. And so I'm in it for the long haul here with my live streams for sure. And there are a lot of exciting things. Like I have a friend that has taken some neat precautions for getting near people. He's got I don't want to put out any trade secrets, so I don't want
Right.
to announce it until we're ready to do it. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to actually start doing some duo or trio shows shortly. So that's going to be
cool.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. So more on that. Otherwise, I mean, I just hit my big technological rebirth of my live streaming process at the beginning of this month. So I'm just going to be spending the next few months just trying to get more experimental and create more of an artistic experience and make this just a continuous fun thing for people to drop in and be at. And then I'm also starting my marketplace was a really big deal. I took what I feel are some of the biggest and best recordings that I've done in my life and made those available, some for the very first time digitally. And then I'm putting out new music every first of the month. A little late this month, but I've got new music that's really exciting for people. I mean, the stuff that I put out October 1st, I'm sure is my best stuff that I've ever done,
That's good.
And I mean, one was the Genesis song In the Rapids. I covered that. And then I put out a song called I Cannot Make It Alone, which has a whole 2-minute ending of progressive rock fury at the end of it. And then I had a song that's a little more like a traditional song, but about a couple refugees in love trying to find their new home and worried about if they're gonna find a good place to live or be killed the next day. They don't even know. So I felt really strongly about stuff that I put out at the first of the month. And then the stuff that's coming out tomorrow or the next day is a really interesting reworking of Cheap Trick's I Want You to Want Me, which is, I've always been a Cheap Trick fan, but I found a pretty interesting way to do it, which I really enjoy. And it's kind of prog and spacey and really weird. And then the song that has Mike Garson on it is called Coming Home. And, great thing about Mike is just winding him up and watching him go. So he's one of the greatest improvisers that's ever lived. And so, I let him really create some fun space for a rock song. It's essentially a rock song, but has these incredible Mike Garson flourishes, and he really plays his ass off, as does my good buddy Dave Johnstone, who's on drums. I'm just going to keep putting music out every first of the month. And so if anybody's watching this and wants to get a hold of me, they can come to my Facebook you're linked up all over the place here, but I'm just facebook.com, I play pedal steel, or facebook.com, Joel Martin, I play pedal steel. But then you can go to my website, which has the music marketplace, and that's joelmartinmusic.com. So joelmartinmusic.com if you want to go purchase any of my recordings. And again, like we stated at the beginning of the conversation, I'm trying to do this without the middleman establishment. If you go to my website, you'll pay me directly through Venmo or PayPal. So just put in the notes what song you want, and then you put in your money and you pay me, and I get it, and then I send you the tracks that you want. And no middleman. I'm sending out super high quality MP3s, better that you get through Amazon or iTunes. And just trying to make this an artist-friendly economy for us. So
we need to, because you guys aren't getting the money from other places, that are
no,
basically profiting off you and not compensating you, and it's like, that's why, that place like you were talking about, Spotify, they always, they try to get you to get the premium thing, and it's like, I wouldn't even do that,
yeah,
because
like,
I know the people on there aren't getting anything,
yeah,
you
point
know.
0.000001 for every song that you listen to. It's a travesty. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, I put down in the comment section down there for you to join the Improv Trust group, and you can.
Oh, cool.
That's something that I developed. It's on Facebook. Almost 5 or so years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and it only had a few people in there, like maybe a couple hundred, and it says I keep on getting an average of 2 people asking to join every few days.
Mm.
So it's getting a big thing there, and it's for people, like yourself, to musicians to promote themselves, and
Cool.
fans to say, hey, have you heard this band? Because I completely doubt that every prog fan has heard every prog song that's out.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
Well,
like,
it's so funny. Like I feel like your vision of prog and what prog is really similar to mine. But like when you go out into the real world and you see like these like the prog cruises or whatever, it's like, it's interesting. There's a lot of people that there's a huge chunk of the progressive rock market that is stuff that I'm not really interested in.
right.
And then there's stuff that I feel is the most creative music that a lot of progressive rock fans aren't really into. Like, I'm really surprised that, Anecdote hasn't been, like, I mean, I guess you can't really get into too much. I don't want to sound like I'm talking trash about people or not appreciating our scene, but the fact that Cruise to the Edge hasn't dropped everything they're doing and made it possible to have Anecdote on that cruise is a bizarre travesty. And I also really love the RIO music. Like, we've talked about Thinking Plague and everything, and
Yeah.
Like Joe Schmo, the average progressive rock listener, would rather listen to Marillion than Thinking Plague. And
Right.
For me, maybe it's because I'm a musician and I'm always thinking about interesting music as the top goal. Like, I just don't get how I don't want to trash Marillion, but I'll trash Marillion. I love the Fish records, but I mean, like, it's like most of the stuff that people are calling progressive rock to me isn't progressive rock anymore. That's just that statement. I mean, I like Red. Give me Red. Give me King Crimson. Give me Thinking Plague. Give me Anecdote, and the super classic lineup of all the Yes, all the Genesis. The symphonic prog rock I really like. That's all my favorite stuff.
My alarm's going.
Oh, it's saying get rid of the hippie. Let the hippie go.
There we go.
Oh, your alarm got me right. I hear the cuckoo.
Yeah.
And it knows you're talking to a cuckoo.
Yeah, I completely forgot I had that on. I have that on every day to get up to get things ready for the evening time and
cool.
Wind down.
Thanks so much for having me, Ron.
You're welcome.
Super cool. Great day. Great talking. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. And honest, it's a super huge privilege and pleasure to bust the cherry of this show concept. Real good.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's gonna take off, even if it's, get a couple people watching, I'll be happy,
Yeah.
I know I see a lot of people going, oh, there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. Well, you're not looking hard enough.
Yeah, I know. I think there's way too much to do. I mean, my shows keep me so busy. I'm in production mode 6 days a week at least. And often it's 7 days a week, but there's just killer music everywhere. Everybody's doing so much good stuff. So I don't understand how people, can say there's not enough to do. Like I'm fighting to go back and watch stuff, like the Grateful Dead just did another Shakedown stream. They called Shakedown Scream. They were really good for about 2 months, and then they dropped off the face of the earth. But they were doing really good pre-shows, and then doing a show every Friday night, some archival Grateful Dead thing, and they just came back and put one up. So I got to watch that. It sucks. People love to do their shows on Friday night, and I'm busy with my show
on Friday night.
Friday night, I missed Bill Frisell just did a big concert. That was heartbreaking to miss. And if you like jazz, the Vanguard is doing incredible live streams, but they're not archiving their stuff. So it's like, if you miss the show, you miss the show. And also San Francisco Jazz does a killer. Every Friday night, they do some ridiculous thing with amazing people, and I missed that. The Bad Plus just did Bad Plus was at the Vanguard, so I missed that. But Friday night's my deal. I got to give it to the people.
Yeah, we usually get Friday night and Saturday night are the busiest nights for live streams.
Yeah, I got Matt Brown.
That's why I'm trying.
Next guest.
That's why I want to do something on Sunday, so it's like it's not interfering with the Friday and Saturday night shows. Because I don't think that many people are doing Sundays. If they are, it's like few and far between.
I know.
But that'd be kind of cool to get this going. Where I was joking. I said, I can get like. How Letterman had Paul Schaefer. I could have Paul Schaefer out for this, doing some intro, take us to the commercial,
Yeah.
That kind of craziness. But, maybe down the line, when there's enough viewers to do that, to make it a little more high tech for that, but I think this is, granted, it's a new technology, so you're not going to get thousands of people watching right off the bat because, again, like I was saying, those people that said there's nothing to watch and nothing to do, it's because they're so used to pre-COVID as to how they were having their activities that they can't think that there's actually more activities now available online for you to do.
Yeah.
You have a way to communicate with people live, because Facebook has their chat rooms. You have that situation.
Totally. It's so fun.
So it's like you got so many different ways to keep in contact with people that it's I think in some ways a little bit more than before COVID.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm just deeply blown away and touched by, the audience that I get to reach. And
oh yeah,
I mean, look at us. We haven't had a huge audience today, but one of the cats was from Germany. It's like you just have a dude from Germany pop in and hang out. That's incredible. So when I do my live streams. I have a dear friend who I see around at concerts a lot, but her and her husband live down in Orange County, and they're busy professionals, and they never get to come up to LA and see me play live. And now, because of all this, they're at almost every live stream, and
that's cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. So, then for me, the best part of it is I don't have to move any gear. It's
exactly.
I mean, Friday nights, I don't know if you've caught on, but I do actually broadcast from space on Friday nights. So I do have to load everything up and then go go up, NASA and JPL worked a program to send a hippie in space. And every Friday night, you know, they put me up in the space pod. So I do have to move everything that I have into the, you know, we all move it into the space pod, and then they shoot me up and I do the show in the first level orbit every Friday night, and then I come back. But besides that, that's the only time I have to move my gear. So it's absolute heaven, you know, it's just great for me.
And then a couple times I watched yours, and then I watched some other ones, and you know, I cast it from the little tiny tablet up to my 55-inch screen TV. So it's like all of a sudden I went from this to like, oh.
Well, my show is made for that now. You know, it's like if you, I mean, like I said, I'm putting out to YouTube. I'm sending, you know, full HD 30 frames per second. So it is made for people to put up on their TV right now. It's so great.
Oh yeah, it's so amazing to watch.
Yeah.
You know, on the big screen. You know, because in some ways it's almost like, you know, you're watching. You know, almost, I would say you're like almost like a concert.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
like
that's
you're right.
the goal.
You know,
For me, anyway, you know, it's like I'm trying to make this a full sonic and visual experience, you know. So that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, still though, so many people are just watching on their phones. So it's like, you know,
I
and
can't
they have
get that watching
phones.
that little tiny,
Watch
you know,
on a
those,
little tiny shitty iPhone 5, you know, and they're trying to make it all work. And it's like, those people are not enjoying the experience. But I mean, you know, like I have a bunch of friends that tell me they put it up on the TV, and they'll send me video of them watching on the TV. It looks so cool. I have some friends that put up, you know, the nice thing is also like, especially since I'm pretty jam heavy, you know, I set up these loops and then I jam with them. You know, a lot of people will play their instruments along with my shows. So I have flautists and other guitarists and keyboardists. They all message me the next day and say that they had my stream up and were jamming along with me. And so that's
cool
too. Yeah, it's so cool. It's everybody's really got their own experience with it, you know. But yeah, I'm just trying to make it visually and audio wise the best thing it can be, so people like yourself can put it up on the TV and really, you know, get blown away, you know. So
oh yeah,
you know,
really cool.
yeah.
All right, well, you know, again, thank you so much for taking the time. You know,
My
I
pleasure, my
appreciate
friend.
that.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and have a great day and a great evening. And
Yeah, you too. You know,
looking forward to seeing your other guests, of course, Matt, you know, that'll be great.
oh yeah, you know, I'm hoping, you know, getting things rolling. You know, I'm gonna do a couple CD reviews this month, and then I'm hoping to do some more of these type of shows. You know, I got the first two lined up. I got to figure out the third and so on. You know, so you know, some I'm not sure if I can do. You know, it's like I want to try to get in touch with some people. You know, and see what their schedule is, and you know, go from there. You know,
Cool.
but we'll see how this goes, and if it's, you know, after a month or so of it doing, you know, maybe, you know, expand on that, you know, do maybe do live ones and then pre-recorded ones, you know.
Hmm.
You know, in between the live ones, and you know, it's like, especially if someone doesn't have the time to do it at a certain time, because I got to figure everybody's time zone.
Right.
And 3 o'clock my time is sort of good. I think if I think if I do later, like about 7 my time, I can actually hit people that are in Australia, because it's 9 o'clock in the morning there.
Yeah.
So I just got to figure out the times, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think for right now, I think 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Pacific is pretty good.
Totally.
You know, 'cause it gives everybody a chance, you know.
Yeah,
Get,
and this was great for me. It was nice to kind of gingerly get up, and I was late. You know, oh man, the time change was actually a blessing for me because I didn't get to bed until 4 a.m. Like without the time change, like I saw the time change happen. You know, oh,
I did
4.
too.
Oh, yeah. So you know, it's nice. It was nice to get up and have a relaxing morning and just get coffee and then set everything up to do this. But yeah, real great morning.
All right. Well, you know, let's wrap it up. And you know, you guys got to check him out. If you haven't checked out Joel on his live stream, I really, you know, you need to. He plays a lot of great music, stuff you may know, stuff you don't know, but then the stuff you don't know, you'll know.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's like, and you do it on Facebook, and then you also do it on Instagram, right?
Well, I do 2 shows a week on Facebook that I also do on YouTube. So I do the Friday Freak Out Friday nights at 9 p.m. PST, and then I do Tuesday Tunes and Loops on Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. PST, and those are on YouTube and Facebook. And then Thursday afternoon, I do a special Instagram show. So Thursday at 3 p.m. PST, I play just for Instagram. So yeah, it's kind of weird how they have, you know, Instagram has its own terms of use, and you actually can't do a show that's not just live on your phone as the main device. Meaning, like, if you watch what I do on Facebook and put onto YouTube, you'll see it's a whole thing. Like, it's superimposed video images and a lot of, you know, camera switches. I have a couple different cameras and I switch between those views. It's very elaborate. And on Instagram, you're actually not allowed to use a separate video source. So I'm still taking a different audio source into my phone, so you are getting that super audio quality, but you know, that has to be a separate show that's just for them. So that's Thursday afternoon. I do Instagram, but the big kahuna of the shows is the Friday Freak Out on Friday nights, and we make it a fun. My good buddy Nate LaPointe, who's a great guitarist who plays in the local Grateful Dead cover band Cubensis, who have been all over the country, and they're amazing because they've actually been playing longer than the Grateful Dead played. They, you know, the Grateful Dead was together for 30 years, and Cubensis has now been playing for 32 years.
Wow.
But Nate's been in the band for 17 years, I think. I could be wrong about that, but it seems about right. He joined in the early new millennium, but Nate does a show on Friday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. PST, and then I actually will play his broadcast on my screen like 15 minutes before my show starts, and I will play pedal steel along with him. So we'll do
that's cool.
Yeah, we'll do a couple songs as a duo, 2 or 3 songs. So basically every Friday night at 8:45 you can come to my page and definitely get a bunch of entertainment. But Nate does a great show too that's heavily Grateful Dead you know, situated, and then I play with him from 8:45 to 9, and then I start my show at 9, and I very rarely play less than 2 hours, and you know, this past Friday was a 3-hour show. So you know, it's a good bunch of people that like to come and hang out and chat and be entertained, and so I try to, you know, make it a real nice little world for everybody. So, and now, you know, I had a lot of technical problems over the last few months trying to get my new setup together, and now everything is just great. I haven't had one single glitch. I had some problems with Instagram the last couple of weeks, but as far as Facebook and YouTube go, it's just been a breeze. Everything's been really nice. The technology, the audio, the sound, you know, it's a good thing. So I'm really happy to keep doing this as long as we're trapped indoors and can't go out and play music regularly. You know,
Right.
I think this is a pretty good way to, you know, come out and find some entertainment for people. So,
There you go.
you know,
All
and like
right.
you'll get everything. I've covered everything from King Crimson to Fats Waller to
Oh,
John
nice,
Prine, you
nice
know.
wide, nice wide spectrum.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. So cool. Well, you have a great day, Ron.
You too, and I'll talk with you soon.
All right. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.